Benvenuti su Data Bit by Bit, il podcast ufficiale di BitBang, dove i dati prendono vita. Vuoi rendere la tua organizzazione più data-driven e costruire una strategia scalabile nel tempo? Sei nel posto giusto. Scopriamo insieme il vero potenziale dei dati, un bit alla volta.
Buongiorno a tutte e a tutti. Questa è una puntata un po' speciale per Data Bit by Bit, perché abbiamo un ospite internazionale, Frans Riemersma. Hi Frans.
How are you doing?
All right, thank you. Frans è il curatore, insieme a Scott Brinker, del Martech Landscape, che ogni anno, come sapete, analizza come si evolvono le tecnologie a supporto del marketing e ne trae considerazioni molto concrete sull'evoluzione del marketing stesso. Quindi è veramente un onore per noi avere la partecipazione di Frans, che è intervenuto anche lo scorso anno al Customer Data Platform Day a maggio 2025. Quindi per chiacchierare con Frans adesso passeremo all'inglese, ma se ci seguite su YouTube potrete attivare i sottotitoli sia in inglese sia tradotti. So again, hi Frans, it's really great to have you here.
Thank you so much. I did understand a little bit. I'm listening to Italian music a lot, so love that.
Great, I'm sure you are doing this just to perform better on our podcast.
100%. Everything for you guys.
So let's cut to the chase. You know, one thing that struck me as I listened to your speech in Milan is that your focus is not really technology, it's people. You talk a lot about people.
Yes, because technology is just a tool that should serve people. And if I look at my own career, I started with marketing. I got sucked into technology because it's so big. But now we are coming back to marketing, the human side, because technology is becoming easier to operate. There's more technology, but also easier to operate, especially now with AI. So I think that is why I'm allowed to focus more and more on the human. And I like what you're saying. The human is two types of human. It's the user of the tool, but it's also the customer, mostly the customer. And from there on, from that customer point of view, if we reverse engineer into the company, into the experience, then technology becomes a lot easier and clearer.
You know, we speak a lot, of course, with our clients, which are all brands trying to drive effective experiences for their customers. So how should they take it? What should they start from to really deliver the expected human experiences?
Let's start with where we should not start and what we have been doing for 20, 30 years. And that is with the technology and the data. And we believe that technology and data will tell us who the customer is. It will not. So we are, as marketing people, we are storytellers, and stories are data with a soul. And we forget the soul often. The soul is like, okay, what does the customer really want to do? And that's where you start. So what are they trying to solve with my product and with my promotions? And if you know that, then you go back and ask questions to your data in the technology. And then your questions are much sharper. Then you have a far better idea of, okay, these are the questions I should be asking. Because if you think about it, at this moment in time in history, we have more technology, SaaS, AI, Gen AI, machine learning. We have everything at our disposal, and still customer experiences are not seamless. How come? It's impossible. I mean, the only conclusion is, okay, technology and data will not tell us. So we might start with the customer and then try to reverse engineer. So I think maybe empathy is becoming one of the most important skills of a marketer.
Yeah, you know, this resonates strongly with our approach here in BitBang because it happens a lot. I think you've seen it that customers ask for technical solution directly. They want that specific thing to work. But what we try to do is take a step back and ask, what's the use case? What are you trying to build? Where do you want to go? This should be the starting point, and then understand everything else. As you said, reverse engineer the experiences and find what data and what tech you need. And you mentioned AI before, of course you did. And how does this help? Are we better prepared today to serve our customers with the experiences they want thanks to AI?
You mentioned use cases. And very often we started with the technology and it resonates with your daily practice. I remember the first day in my new job 15 years ago, I became head of R&D of a software company. And the first day I got a phone call from a client who said, if you offer us one more training in your tool, we will stop the license. And I was like, okay, that's a nice warm welcome. Thank you very much. But what are you trying to say? And then the client was very clear. They said, a training is something for us to understand your tool. But we bought the tool so we can understand our customer better. So train us in use cases, not in how to use the tool. And if you think about it, and this is something on Customer Data Platform Day in Milan, we also talked about don't focus so much on the mechanics, the car. Look at the destination. Where are we going? And now the move to AI, and especially generative AI, what is so fascinating is that it's based on language of humans. So large language models are based on how we speak. So it's far closer to what resonates and how to understand. So if empathy becomes a very important skill, then large language models can really help us understand customer better. We can ask questions, just a generic LLM, but we can also train an LLM in our own brand, in our own language, brand language, and then you take it from there. So I think it is a huge opportunity and turning point that we now can use GenAI to better understand the language of the customer, because that is so much more powerful than just sending messages.
Is this the key to effective hyper-personalization?
Yes, I think it is. I think it is. It all depends on the skills. You know, if we as marketers are courageous enough to start with our gut feeling, the empathy, not solely rely on that, because there are also marketers who only rely on the brand. That's not enough. The brand is something combined with the data. And what we often forget is that the data is actually the client talking back to us. If you look at your data, people switch off, they switch on, they buy something, they don't buy something, they click on something, they don't click on something. That tells you if it resonates. And together with GenAI, you can then start questioning your data and say, okay, what is it they're trying to achieve? Did we really help them? What is the question they have now? And can we answer that one? And the better you answer that question, the closer you are to personalization. Because think about it. What is the best brand? The brand where you have the feeling, hey, they understand me. This is exactly what I needed. This is actually answering the question I have, or even the question I didn't know I had, but it's really spot on. So those are the best brands. And I think that is the best personalization you can get, because if you replace the word brand in this brand understands me with friend, I mean, that's basically what a brand should be, right? The reputation of a friend. You trust your friends. They don't lie to you. They want the best for you. And if a brand can achieve that same reputation, then you're in a very good space. And then it's easier to personalize.
So empathy is what we need to bring into the equation. We have the tools, we have AI, but we need to build this empathy by listening to our clients through data, you say. Cool. And maybe we can build this empathy more because we have more free time, free resources, thanks to AI. There is a lot of talk about freeing up resources because we leverage AI. So what should we do with this free slack?
I think you nailed it. Deep dive on empathy. Understand, what the client really wants. And the thing is, with empathy, we're not so good at it because it's we have to make decisions. Like, this is what they want. This is what they say, they, the customer. And I teach at business schools and universities, and we build, based on their own company data, we build plans. We build customer experiences based on an ROI. So really linked to profit, to revenue. And in this process, there's one very big hurdle all the time, and that is data illiteracy. And data illiteracy is the fear of deciding something and making a decision based on the data, saying, yeah, but we thought they wanted this, but they don't. Or they do want it even more than we thought so. So oftentimes in this whole process, when we build these customer journeys and these plans around those journeys and building an ROI around that, a business case, there's often this moment where they say, I'm not sure what to decide, while the data is very clear. So that is, I think, that is this dialogue or conversation between your gut feeling and the data. And this is the skill we really need to learn. And the more we are afraid of that decision, the more people will talk about, no, we need a tool. We need more data. So often in the research we do, we see that people who ask for more features, more technology, more data are the more immature, skilled people, so to speak.
So up until now, we have looked a lot at the customer side of the experience. But if we look a little into our direct stakeholders' experience, so what our clients are living their day by day, the marketers and the martech experts, I think a dilemma that we often run into is how to prove the value of their activities. Can data and AI today help more in this direction?
Yes, definitely. And I think you just said it nicely. We become a kind of value engineers. In let's say the old days before AI, we mainly were plumbers, operators. We had to make sure an automation flow works. We have an integration point. We have to clean data. But with AI, all those things become a lot easier. So now we free up time. And what should we do? Well, we can become the value engineers. And there again, the data can really help us. Because I would always start with looking at what is our ideal customer. And this is not just a mental exercise. It's deep diving, for instance, in your financial system and in your CRM. What are current customers doing? Why did they pay for something? When did they pay? Did they renew? Why didn't they renew? Just look at your customer. And then once you found like the most important customers, customer base or customer segment, then you can reverse engineer and say, this is how they were once upon a time a lead. Because every customer once upon a time was a lead, a non-customer. So what were the steps they took? And based on all the research we do with a business university and schools, we see there are not a million steps in between. Often there are only 3 or 4, maybe 5. Because we like to think that our customers are so engaged with us that they're actually not. And think about it yourself. For a certain purchase, you don't want to have a zillion, a million interactions. You want 3, 4, 5, cut to the chase and let's buy. And then make it a good experience. So this is what we learn with value engineering. There are actually only 3 questions you should ask. Who's your biggest customer? What is the biggest product or service you sell to that customer? And what is your margin? And these 3 questions, many marketers cannot answer. So that is the most important question you should be able to answer. And if you do this, technology and data is a breeze. It's so simple, because then you know, yeah, that's nice. We don't need all that technology. And if we look at our own research, at the outperformers, the brands that really work well with data and technology, this is what they do. They constantly make it very simple. Yes, that's a very nice tool. We don't need it because it's not serving the journey that brings us 80% of the revenue. And then you link value to technology, to data. And this is, I think, the new skill of the marketer.
Great. So you've given us very clear, very precise drivers to look at to understand value and to build saving, because that's really that's very important too. And you've pointed out very clearly 3 very big skill areas, very relevant for our professional figures, which are empathy, listening, data culture, and value engineering. That's a lot to study now that we have all this free time, which we don't, of course.
Yeah, it takes courage to take that time and to find it, but it's there. Outperformers find it and they do it, and that's how they outperform.
Great. Thank you, Frans. This last recommendation, find the time and take it to build toward what you will need in the future, I think is also very on point for our audience and for our work. So I thank you very much again for this chat. It's been really interesting, and I'm sure that our audience is finding great food for thought in this chat. And if you did, listener, please go follow Frans and martech Tribe on LinkedIn, because they share really great content and they always keep us up to date. So, switching back to Italian again. Grazie a tutti quanti per aver seguito questa puntata bilingue e come dicevo, se l'avete trovato interessante, ovviamente fateci avere i vostri commenti e condividete il podcast se vi è piaciuto, e vi consigliamo anche di seguire Frans e martech Tribe su LinkedIn, che ci tengono sempre aggiornati su quello che accade nel contesto del martech e di come ottenere il meglio per i nostri clienti. Grazie Frans, thank you so much.
Thank you, ciao.
Grazie per essere stati con noi su Data Bit by Bit. Se ti è piaciuto l'episodio, seguici e lascia una recensione. Rimani in contatto con noi su bitbang.com. A presto con nuovi bit!